Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to call our meeting to order. Again, thank you so much for being here. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I believe Dr. Green will be introducing our leader.
Yes, thank you, President Walker. It's my pleasure to introduce two individuals here this evening. Our ASB president from Eisenhower High School, Josh Jayola. I know I'm saying that wrong. Let me try it again. Josh Jayola. All right, Jayola. And then Mia Dufault, who's a senior at Davis High School. And again, our two ASB presidents from our two comprehensive high schools. And Mia will offer the pledge, and I believe that Josh will be sharing the character word.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
January's character word is inquisitive. Definition: given to examination or investigation, inclined to ask questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's kind of our tradition to open a short questioning session from the board that would like to thank you and maybe ask you a little bit about your goals. So I'll open that up to our board members. Oh, I was going to announce that, yeah. ¿Hay algunas personas que necesitan traducción?
Mira usted.
Okay. No. Okay.
I want to thank you both for being here. I bet you didn't think that you were going to have a crowd. Usually school board meetings, there isn't a crowd unless there's something that they all have in common. So thank you all you both for being here. Would you be willing to share a little bit about what grade you're in and what plans you have for after high school?
My name is Mia. I'm a senior and the ASB president at Davis High School. And I don't know what college I'm going to yet, but I'm planning on majoring in design engineering.
Nice.
I'm Josh, and ASB president at Eisenhower. I'm sorry. Oh. Well, I'm planning to go to college. I don't know where yet. For international relations and statistics.
Well, I guess we know who to call if we need any design engineering or international relations and statistical help, right? Okay, thank you both for being here.
Hi, I'm Graciela. Ooh, these are all like really loud today. I don't have any questions, but just want to thank you both for being here and congratulations on being elected presidents at each of your schools, and wish you the best of luck.
Yes, I too just wanted to thank you for being here today and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you for your leadership in our district. You do represent the district very well, and I'm proud to say that. And for me, I'm happy to see such great student leaders in our district. So thank you once again very much.
And if I'm not mistaken, you have some more things to share with the board, is that correct? Later? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, again, and thank you, and we'll see you later. Okay, I have a few announcements to need to make before the meeting. I made the announcements regarding translation. We do have interpretation services. If you are in person tonight and need translation, we have devices you can use. Please check in with Barb for a device. If you are tuning in live stream, there is a Spanish live streaming link to tune into these services. You can find this on our website. You can find the link on our webpage under Find It Fast, or going directly to www.ysd7.org/board meetings. We have we have public comment options tonight. You can sign up for public comment prior to 3 p.m. the day of business board meetings, or be in attendance during that portion of the agenda. There are 2 public comment sessions. One is for items on the agenda, and that is the first one. And then if you have an item that is not on the agenda, there is a second comment section that comes later in the meeting. If you are interested in past meetings, you can find a link on our webpage to the YSD YouTube channel to view past meetings that were recorded and posted there. So, Ms. Fiskus, would you like to call roll, please?
Director Navarro Jr.,
Present.
Director Martha Rice,
Here.
Vice President Villanueva,
Here.
President Walker,
Present.
and Director Beckett is excused.
Yes. Next on our agenda, we have the Yakima land acknowledgement, and we have a tape of students that will present the land acknowledgement.
Today, the schools of the Yakima School District rest on the ancestral lands of the 14 confederated tribes and bands of the Yakima Nation.
The people of the Yakima Nation inhabited more than 12 million acres.
Across Adams, Benton, Chelan, Douglas, Franklin, Grant, Kittitas, Cliticat, and Yakima counties.
Today we honor the native people who are tied to the land through history, legends, and cultures.
We acknowledge their descendants who live in the world today. We thank the caretakers of this land who have lived here and continue to live here since time immemorial. An acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way to show respect.
And a step toward correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous peoples' history and culture.
It also honors the truth. As a school district, we'll continue to build upon our relations with the Yakima Nation.
And thank you to those students and their teachers who helped put that together. We have a moment of remembrance tonight. We'd like to honor Glenn Frederick Thiesfeld. Glenn was born January 30th, 1938, and passed away December 17th, 2022. Glenn was born in Hutchinson, Minnesota, to Dietrich and Emma Thiesfeld. Growing up, his family moved around to various towns in eastern Washington. Glenn graduated from Quincy High School in 1956. In 1957, Glenn decided to join the Marine Corps and became a jet engine mechanic. While stationed in California, he met Valerie Gray. They remained married for 62 years. After completing his enlistment in the Marine Corps, Glenn worked for Standard Oil Company as a mechanic. While living in California, Glenn and Valerie gave birth to 3 sons, David, Stephen, and Brian. In 1969, the family moved to Moses Lake, Washington. Glenn and Doug went to work at the Vista Homes plant in Moses Lake until the plant closed in 1970. The family moved again, this time to Yakima, Washington. Valerie and Glenn lived in their home for 47 years. They always found time to spend with their 3 sons, from the many family camping trips to exploring the mountains around Yakima to attending their sons' sporting events. After Glenn moved to Yakima, he worked at Montgomery Wards for 25 years. Then after retiring from Wards, he became custodian at McClure Elementary, where he finally retired after 10 years. Glenn and Valerie also had a hobby business, and they traveled to stamp and postcard shows around the state and displayed their wares. They particularly enjoyed the many friends that they met at the shows. They also had a deep appreciation for their neighbors who became close friends. Please share me in a moment of silence for Glenn Theisfeld. Thank you. And now I'd like to welcome Dr. Green again, who has a proclamation to read.
Wonderful, thank you. And for the proclamation, I would like to invite our two ASB leaders to the front and turn the mic over to them.
The State of Washington Proclamation. Whereas the mission of Washington's public school system is to ensure that all students achieve at high levels and possess the knowledge and skills to be responsible members of a democratic society and enjoy productive and satisfying lives. And
whereas Washington's 295 locally elected school boards of directors and 9 elected educational service districts, ESD, boards are the core of the public education governance system in our state, serve more than 1.1 million students, have a combined annual budget of over $15 billion, and employ approximately 120 people. And
whereas school boards play a crucial role in promoting student learning and achievement by creating a vision, establishing policies and budgets, and setting clear standards of accountability for all involved. And
whereas school board directors are directly accountable to residents in their districts and regions, serving as a vital link between members of the community and their schools. And
whereas school boards and ESDs provide a passionate voice of advocacy for public schools and the welfare of school children. And
whereas it is appropriate to recognize school board directors as outstanding public servants and champions for public education.
now, therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim January 2023 as School Board Recognition Month in Washington, and I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance.
And I believe we have something to hand to each of the school board members.
Yeah. The Washington State School Directors Association, known as WASDA, Boards of Distinction program is about helping school boards govern successfully by aligning their efforts with the Washington School Board standards.
To be acknowledged, decisions or actions leading to positive outcomes must be in alignment with one of the Washington School Board standards. Back-to-back YSD board recognition represents the only 2 times in the history of the YSD that the School Board of Directors has achieved the state honor.
Congratulations, as the Yakima School District Board of Directors has been awarded this recognition for actions exemplifying visionary leadership and helping their school districts close opportunity gaps.
Thank you so much.
So what's being shared right now is a recognition for the 2 years of being selected as a board of distinction. And I think this would be a great time to maybe take a photo with our student leaders as well as our school board. Yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah, we can read that.
Graciela Villanueva
I don't know.
and Martha Rice.
And Mr. Raymond Navarro, Jr. And hold on a second. Mr. Norm Walker.
Yeah, we just moved over here.
Then Josh and Mia, could we have you come on up here as well? And we'll have you in the photo. distribute that to the board members if you'd like.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, well, thank you for taking your time out.
So let's tighten up, and we'll have both Josh and Mia here with us as well. One on each side. We're good with these?
Yeah. Do we need to slide in a little tighter? We're okay?
Could we actually have the students holding the plaques? Would that work? Let's have our students holding the plaques there for you. There we go. You can open that, Graciela.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And in case Josh is headed out, I know, Mia, you're certainly excused at this point, but I also wanted to acknowledge that Josh was actually one of our student speakers yesterday at the celebration for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day and of service, so thank you, and you represented our district very well, along with the two other speakers from Davis High School, so thank you, Josh.
Thanks so much. It's always rewarding to see our students at our meetings and our student leaders. We have one more proclamation to be read. I'll read the City of Yakima proclamation. Whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. And whereas Dr. King's teachings can continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges in our communities, and the King Holiday and Service Act, enacted in 1994, designated the King Holiday as a national day of volunteer service. And whereas since 1994, millions of Americans have been inspired by the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to serve their neighbors and communities on the King Holiday. And serving on the King Holiday is an appropriate way to honor Dr. King, meet local and national needs, bring our citizens together, and strengthen our communities and nation. And whereas the King Day of Service is the only federal holiday commemorated as a national day of service and offers an opportunity for Americans to give back to their communities on the holiday and make an ongoing commitment to service throughout the year. And whereas King Day of Service projects are being organized by a wide range of nonprofit and community organizations, educational institutions, public agencies, private businesses, and other organizations across the nation. And whereas each of us can and must contribute to making our communities better with increased opportunity for all citizens, citizens of Yakima, Washington, have the opportunity to participate in events throughout our city on the King Day of Service, January 16th, 2023. Now, therefore, the Yakima City Council does hereby proclaim the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday as Day of Service, and call upon the people of Yakima to pay tribute to the life and works of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. through participation in community service projects on Martin Luther King Day and throughout the year. Together, we can be the dream. Dated this 10th day of January 2023 and signed by Mayor Janice Decio. Thank you. And now, Dr. Green, we have gifts to the district and board.
Thank you. Thank you, President Walker. So it's my pleasure to share acknowledgement to some wonderful donors who have contributed over $33,000 to different programs throughout our district since we last spoke. So I will go through the donations at this point. First of all, we had a $1,533 donation, which came from Janelle Engelhardt, who is a para-educator at Hoover, and her husband Corey. They volunteered their time at Mad Hatter's Haunt and raised around $1,533, which comes to us through Davis McCracken. And it is donated for Hoover Elementary to purchase items to enrich their STEAM program. $3,000 was donated to the Yakima School District for needy families during the holiday from Mr. George Brown. $9,200 was donated to Garfield Elementary for the playground, and this came from Dennis C. Grandstrand. $4,000 was donated to Eisenhower Music Program to support the Teachery Artist Program from Warehouse Theater Company. $13,750 was donated to Washington Middle School to send students to Mount Rainier Science Camp, and this comes from the Outdoor Schools of Washington. And the last donation listed tonight is for $2,251.46, and it was donated to Davis High School for Mr. Davis Pageant. So again, over $33,000 donated to programs and activities across the district, and it's just wonderful, the generosity of the many donors in our community.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And now, the moment some of you have been waiting for. We have 6 students who have completed either a GED or Yakima Online diploma. And as board members, we love to attend graduations and hand out diplomas. And we have some folks that finished early this year. And so they're ready to move on, and we'd like to honor them tonight. And we have with us Lois Menard. Would you like to introduce our students and tell us a little about them?
Yeah, thank you very much, President Walker. So we have 6, as President Walker stated. And so the first one is Gianna Wheeler, and she is our fall diploma graduate from Yakima Online. Gianna is unable to be with us this evening. She finished very quickly by completing several classes. Her goal is to attend college. She's confident, excited, goal-oriented, and so proud to have finished so soon. You should have seen her beaming at our school when she came to pick up her diploma. We put her in a cap and gown, and she brought 2 of her little relatives, they were small young gals, and got her picture, and she was looking forward to this evening but couldn't be here. So thank you, Gianna, for your work. Emmanuel Llamas, he was our first GED completer this last fall. We all know how challenging it was for him to accomplish this goal since he was facing many other obstacles during this time. Emmanuel told us that math would be a challenge, so he tried to pass the math test twice, and he didn't quite score high enough. However, he kept pressing on and believing in himself, and on the 3rd try, he did it. His determination paid off as he eventually passed the last test. And what's the beauty is he has his GED now, but he has decided to stay, and now he's going to earn his diploma. And we have a few students that have done that, so we're excited for this next step. And then Christian Fuentes. Now, Christian broke a record. Christian enrolled in Open Doors on October 19th, 2022, and he earned his GED at a record speed of 2 weeks. He is currently the fastest student to complete the GED in our program, which is 10 years. Our Open Doors is now 10 years. We're so excited that he is enrolled at YVC, and he's currently taking math, English, and a chemistry class. We know that he will be successful in college, and we know that he is now doing a career in business or accounting. Christian is very dependable and driven. We have no doubts that he will continue to accomplish great things in life. And then Johan Badillo. From the very day that Johan enrolled in Open Doors, everyone was drawn to his personality. His positive attitude and charisma were radiant. In addition, he overcame adversities, and this was a deciding factor to his success in our program. Johan, again, he knew that math was going to be his biggest obstacle, and it would probably take him a few months to brush up and master math. His dedication and perseverance eventually paid off, and he passed the math test. We're so proud of Johan that he was able to accomplish and the way that he faced his challenges head on. His brief time with us made us very positive impact on him. And I got to tell you, when he finished that test, and he had to take it a few times, he was so pumped up. And he was like, yes, I did it, I did it. And there were tears in his eyes. It was just so moving. So Johan, we're very proud of you. And then this evening again, I have Orlando and Cody. Cody, if you could stand up. Cody Evinger. Cody's here with her sister. You want to wave, sister? What's your sister's name? Anayeli. Thank you for being here, Anayeli. Cody, your hard work and resilience is admirable. You worked diligently to complete your GED, and you did it in a very short time. You were able to do this while working full-time, attending YV Tech, and dealing with the loss of several family members. You are truly an inspiration to all of us here at Open Doors. We are excited for the future that has in store for you. It's an honor to have you in our program, and we couldn't be more proud of you. Cody passed the final test on Friday, December 16th, 2022. Thank you, Cody. Orlando. Orlando Riojas. Orlando, you quietly and quickly moved through the program. You were so proactive in getting your work done and learning what you needed to do next. Your desire to succeed and confidence in yourself will take you far in life. Working with you at Open Doors was such a pleasure. You are the type of person who truly leads by example, and everyone who knows you is affected by your strong sense of responsibility and commitment. We know that you will do great things at YVC next fall as you pursue a degree in business or accounting. And Orlando has a few things he wants to say.
Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so my name's Orlando, and I'm thankful to be up here with everybody and the support of my teachers and counselors and principal. Yeah, I started in early September and slacked off, and then finished about December. But I would like to say a quick word of something that I learned, and that's to starve your procrastination and feed your ambition. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
So what we would like you to do is, like graduation, you get to shake hands, you know? So if you could come around this side of the table and shake our hands, and Director Rice has your certificate.
So at this time, I'd like Cody's sister to stand up. And then Orlando's family. It's Ernie, Luz, and Anna, right? You want to wave, Anna? And Anna is very impressed with that cookie. Yes, they're beautiful cookies. Thank you to the staff that made the cookies and the cake. We really appreciate it too. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks again, and congratulations to our graduates. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the business meeting, but you're free to go if you have celebrations you'd like to do tonight. So thanks again for coming, and congratulations to you and your families. And next on our agenda, do we have any reports or comments from members of the board?
I have just a very brief legislative report. As you all may know, legislative session started last week, and there were only 700 bills dropped last week. So that will keep them busy for a minute or two. I know that Dr. Green has been contacted by one of our senators and one of our representatives in this first week, just asking for input from him about certain bills that they were pursuing, I think in the education committees. If anyone is interested in following along with what's going on with the legislative activities especially in the education committees, they are broadcast on TVW. Unfortunately, they're both the same time. They're both Monday morning. So it would be difficult to follow both of them. But I think they're probably rebroadcast at some time on TVW. There's a lot of activity going on over there right now, but as things start to shake out, we'll have more information about the particular bills that are of interest to us. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. As you may or may not know, Martha is our legislative representative, and she has had a long career interest in the workings of the legislature and how we can benefit our schools. So keep up the good work. We appreciate it. Now we have our superintendent's update. Dr. Green,
Excuse me, Norm, can I?
Oh, I'm
have
sorry.
Just a few minutes. I didn't think we were
Yes,
done.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was rushing through the agenda.
Okay. No, I just wanted, well, that's pretty loud. I just wanted to express my personal gratitude for today and for the reception that we had, for the kind words, the gifts. And I have a little turtle here. This is awesome, little turtle. I hope to live 150 years old as this turtle. And the words that were attached to this, the card, were awesome. So thank you very much for that. But the words for me, they were encouraging, inspiring, and energizing, right? Some few words that come to mind, and just make me feel proud, of just the work that we've done as a board and as a district. We're a board, but we work with our superintendent, who works with administrators and staff, and so it just makes me feel proud to be part of a great organization, a school district. Your presence here today is very appreciated. I saw administrators, superintendents, teachers. I thought I saw a lot of principals, right, and faculty and staff. So to me, it confirms the work that the board is doing, and there were some personal notes that really confirmed the thoughts that I'm having, the work that I'm doing, and direction personally that I'm going in. So I appreciate that. Our job is difficult, but compared to the work that you do day in and day out, is much more difficult than what we do. We've come up, what I really appreciate is that, the board came up with the work plan, the vision, and you have really latched on to that. You bought into the vision for this district, and that is that all kids, all students can be successful. And so I really appreciate that. You bought into the vision, and that's what makes me even prouder and to be part of this district. You create hope and opportunity. You create safe spaces for our students, and in essence, you're creating a better future for our students, their families, and that's how I see it in generations to come. So, and for our community, we're improving our community, making it an even better place for everyone. So with that, even though you're here to thank us and appreciate us, I just want to say I do appreciate all those kind words, the gifts, and your presence, but just wanted to thank you for being here today and all the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Raymond, for your thoughtful words. Graciela, did you have anything else to report or add?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the appreciation and recognition. It really means a lot, and the thoughtful words in each of the cards are really meaningful. Thank you so much.
And I would like to say ditto as well. And one comment I'd like to add is it was remarkable with the crowd. I'm not used to the huge crowds at our meetings, but it was remarkable to me to see the number of leaders and administrators in our district that I knew as students in the district. And it's so rewarding to see our students come back and provide the kind of service they're giving to our district. Okay, next on our agenda, we have Dr. Green's update.
Thank you, President Walker and members of the board. I really appreciate the acknowledgement of the number of bills that have been dropped or that's going through legislature right now and the conversations that are taking place. And thank you, Director Rice, for acknowledging that there is outreach happening. And we as a district have positioned ourselves as individuals who legislators can depend on for feedback. And I want to acknowledge to the board the work of Dr. Darling in both cases with Senator Torres and Representative Sandlin, who have reached out. He has been instrumental in putting together the memos that we've been able to share with them and making sure that we were arming them with the right information on whether to support or not support House bills or Senate bills. So thank you, Dr. Darling, for your work. We actually do have a meeting later this week with Senator Torres, an hour with her that we had scheduled well in advance. So we look forward to I look forward to a one-on-one with her as we continue to position ourselves again with our legislators. Aside from that, information to share with you this evening. If you look into the superintendent update, you'll find that there is an ends report. We did have a request through Director Villanueva and Director Navarro to come forward with something that was more representative of what we had done in previous years. So I have some information then to share with you, and I want you to have the time to look at that at your leisure. So since we've already gone through the ends report, I would invite board members to access the updated information. And then the other information that I have to share with you is we are in the switch of our data system. So in previous years, we have had links that were active to connect you to the data. Those are not in place currently as we make this switch. So I do anticipate, and I'm looking at both specifically Director Navarro and Director Villanueva, we do anticipate sending you some more of that subcategory data later this week, most likely tomorrow afternoon. And when that does come forth, we will share that with the entire board. So you have the current update in front of you, which is more representative of what you've seen in the past. And there will be some additional data coming to you by tomorrow afternoon. Are there any questions about the uploaded ends report and the pending data that will come to you tomorrow? Or may I move forward? At this time, yeah. It would be a lot to ask for any feedback at this time. So I do plan on reaching out to both of you, specifically again, Graciela Villanueva, Raymond Navarro, as you had some additional questions. So please do expect a call from me tomorrow. And if there are any other questions about the ends report, I would hope that Director Rice or Director Walker would reach out at your leisure if you have any follow-up. Along those lines, we do have a survey monkey that has already been completed by 3 of our board members. So we are looking to have that hopefully completed by, I believe, Thursday at noon. So that gives us a couple of days this week if possible. So I know that that's a tight turnaround, but that survey monkey, I believe you'd already have access to it, yes? Question? You just sent it? Okay. So Barb has sent that to you, so you'll have access, but you'll certainly want to look at the ends reports both this evening and hopefully over the next 2 days. The next item that I'll share with you is an automatic admission update. This is great news for our students. There are several schools across the state that provide automatic enrollment or entry into their universities. So I have uploaded, or rather asked Barb to upload information that came from the Associate Dean of Admission at Pacific Lutheran University. And they shared that they launched a PLU automatic admission partnership with the Yakima School District. So that means that they will email students and that they will be notified that if they choose to enroll at Pacific Lutheran University, then they will be accepted in. This is a wonderful opportunity, and you can see more of the details in that document. So again, we continue to work towards opening doors to our students to be able to enter university level studies and make it easier for them, not more difficult. In addition, there's another document that's attached, which is titled December 2002-2003. It's the HWC report. That report, which you can probably see displayed as well, is the Handle with Care report for December. And we simply wanted to make sure that this continued to be something that was in front of you. I know that Assistant Superintendent Locke had shared this information with you previously. So while we're not looking to present this in a formal sense, I certainly want to have you take a look at it and see if you have any questions or if you need any of the categories explained to make it more easy to understand as you look at that on your own, or if you would like an interpretation and some highlights at this time.
Stacy, could you remind us what the inactive column refers to?
Yes, Director Rice. The students that are enrolled, but they're inactive at this time. And at the very bottom, when you see YSD total, and then you see grand total would be all the reports that were entered into the police database. And of course, YSD would be out of the 954, for example, 678 were our students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that means 665 of Yakima School District students were in a household that had some kind of domestic violence incident? Is that what that means? They handle with care?
678 students.
What's 660? Oh, I have to scroll up, okay.
Or did you find the same one?
But it's 678 Yakima School District students
Correct.
are in a household that had some kind of domestic violence
Correct.
incidents this school year.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And if you look, you can compare last year's numbers at the bottom, the 22-23 to 2021-22, and you can see so far that from 71 to 30, so things are looking a little bit better overall. But again, December, I think, is a pretty tough month.
And are those unique students, or could one student be reported twice for two different incidents?
Those would be unique students. at this
Unique
time.
students.
Can I chime in on this? Because I did attend the task force with Sarah last week. So one of the interesting things that I learned that for the month of December, there was well over 900 incidents of domestic violence cases in Yakima. And so everybody's alarmed with the numbers, but I think what the chief of police, Murray, mentioned is that that number is quite high because now there's a concerted effort to identify those issues. So perhaps in the past, they're saying is that it's always been this high, possibly higher, and now that there's a strong effort to identify that, not only to identify that, but to provide some kind of services or link them to support. So that's why the numbers seem pretty high for December. So just wanted to share that.
Any further questions?
No, but it just speaks, the fact that the numbers are that high, and those are the ones that are reported. The numbers are actually probably higher. And I think that it speaks to our district's efforts to provide support services to students at all levels, and increasing our counseling services and all the other kinds of support services, because we know that trauma affects the brain and it affects learning. And so that's alarming to me that those numbers are that high. So I'm glad that the district is taking efforts to serve our kids in their emotional needs as well.
Thank you. Appreciate board members weighing in and being able to respond to your questions. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Locke. I would also point out that when we're talking about this number that is rapidly approaching 1,000, that these are students and incidents that we didn't even respond to or work at previous to Assistant Superintendent Locke's arrival in this position. So to build out the system of identifying students and then informing principals and counselors and having teachers aware that a student has had some type of incident occur at their home is incredible. And just to think about how many thousands of kids in past years and decades have not had any access to support unless they reached out to an adult is staggering. So I'm just very proud of the work that's been done on behalf of our students in our community and these partnerships that continue to grow and to be an example to really the nation on what we can do in being proactive to address the needs of students. Along the lines of what Director Navarro shared in his attending a session and hearing from Chief Murray, I feel compelled to just share another bit of anecdotal information that came from Chief Murray. And this was along the lines of something that is not contained in this data here. It's along the lines of sexual abuse. And one of the things that he has shared with me in our recent meetings was that they saw, that they being the police department, saw an incredible uptick in the number of reported cases of sexual misconduct relating to our students when we came back from the pandemic. And what he has shared with me on more than one occasions in the last several months was how important it is for our students to connect with our teachers, and having such great, highly qualified individuals in the classroom, listening to students and reporting what they hear is something that was very impressive to him, and I simply wanted to pass that on to you in light of what Director Navarro shared. So having that connection and sharing that information is important also, and I'm sure that that data exists somewhere in the police department with the reports that are made, or DSHS, but that's not something of which we have access to at this point, but something in addition to consider when we're talking about what's happening in the home. There are often things that are not recorded and that don't make it to a nice spreadsheet like we have here for you today. The other items that I have to share with you are just very briefly, I already spoke to you about the Survey Monkey that will be coming your way. It's already in your email, and you have 2 days to complete that. So the last item just to share is more of a reminder that there are opportunities to connect in our one-on-one meetings. And I know that we're starting a new year, so it's a great time, even though we're a couple of weeks in, to really consider what your schedule looks like. And I've been very impressed with resolutions that I've seen from a variety of people, but I would invite the board to please connect with Barb, and I'm asking Barb to reach out and connect with you personally to just present an opportunity for you to consider what works best according to your schedule. So I would love to meet with each of you as board members at times that are convenient for you, so I'd be happy to work my schedule around yours, and that has to do with not only length of time, but frequency of meetings. So just like we differentiate on a great level for our students, if you feel like you need more contact and more information to fulfill your responsibility as a board member, which is very daunting and ominous, so I understand how that could take place. So please don't hesitate to reach out and respond to Barb's inquiry if you would like weekly meetings, perhaps a monthly meeting if you feel like you're really on top of things. And then just also I would like to mention the opportunities for site visitations. So I've seen an increase, which is fantastic. I think getting into the building and being a part of what's happening within our system is a wonderful opportunity to grow as a board member and to see what is happening, and that also helps to inform your understanding in talking with our policymakers. Ryan has made it a point to be in buildings, so we've started to meet in buildings at times and have our one-on-ones in the buildings. Norm, I can't keep him away from buildings. He's coming to about every, I'm in about 4 buildings a week for a total of 8 hours. And every one of those, I've been instructed by President Walker to make arrangements to invite him, so he is becoming a regular in the school circuit. And then I know that Director Navarro is very interested and has already reached out and has been in a few buildings and has a goal to visit many, many more. Just by way of reminder for the board members who have been a part of this under a previous kind of a previous board, that the last time that we had an incident, how should I say this? Be sure to follow our operational procedures. So they are as much for your safety and security as they are, they are simply just not something that we put in a document. I want you to be aware of those so that we make sure that we are following our collective bargaining agreements, following our policy, and not putting you in a situation that we perhaps can't unravel at a later date. So I have included for your leisure the operational procedure 1112P, which is a link, and I would draw your attention, if you do access that, to simply focus more on lines 3 through 8. It's not a heavy read anyway, it's only about half a page. But if you'd like to remind yourself of the operation procedures, please do. And know that, again, I'm willing to reconfigure my schedule to accompany you on those visits. So I look forward to the opportunity, hopefully, within the next several years, of making sure that we all have several opportunities to get in the buildings and see what's happening out there. So with that, that's my superintendent update for today. Is there anything else that I could respond to, or any concern from the board that I could either get back to now or at a later date? All right, then I will finalize my report by also then expressing my gratitude for each of you. I alluded to the difficulty of being a board member. I think that now that I'm in the job here as superintendent, 3.5+ years, my eyes are open even more to the amount of work and effort that you put forth on behalf of our community. And I don't think that anybody out there can really understand the amount of consciousness and effort that goes forth in being a responsible board member, except for maybe your families who see you sacrifice so much time on behalf of our community. So again, I thank you for your commitment to our community and to making this a place that is certainly on the rise. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Green, for your report and for your kind words. Next up on our agenda, we have our financial update. Do you want to lead into that, or shall we go directly to Mr. Cooper?
I think I'll lead into that because I forgot one item, so I want to make sure I take the opportunity just to mention something that I neglected, which was I'm a speaker at Rotary this Thursday. I forgot to mention that, and it's not something that comes around very frequently. I know that Director Walker has expressed interest in attending, so be very nice to have you there, Director Walker, President Walker. But I also wanted to inform the board that we are having our students present at Rotary as well. So I will be sharing an update on what's happening in the district, but we will also have students that will be speaking to our business community. And we're very excited about the opportunity of showcasing our reason for being, which are our students. So I simply wanted to let you know that that's happening this Thursday. It starts at noon to 1:30 at the Yakima Convention Center. So if you'd like to attend, please do let me know. With that, thank you for letting me go out of order, forgetting that piece. I'd like to invite, he's already here. Uninvited, he's already here.
Like every good dinner
Just
guest.
keeps turning up. All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce our Executive Director of Finance and Business Services for the update today. And I'm, again, so so grateful for the people with whom I work. I mentioned Dr. Darling, but the tremendous effort of each of our assistant superintendents and executive directors, and in fact, our entire staff. So I could go on with teaching and learning with Dr. Rodriguez, I've already mentioned. Stacy and the work that she's done. Anthony, of course, the 11 contracts, and Jake is just another fantastic member of our team. And having his expertise to oversee what is happening with us with respect to our financial status puts me at ease, even though I don't know how much ease. I try to settle in when we're talking about the budget that we oversee, but it's nice to have him as somebody who is so knowledgeable about public education and the finances. So with that, please let me turn this over to Jake Cooper.
Thank you,
Mr.
Superintendent
Cooper.
Green, for the kind words. And it's wonderful to work with all of you as well. And again, to the board, you've been told thank you a lot, but I know how tough these positions are, particularly in the pandemic. You earned your paycheck of $0. And so I do want to thank you. I know how difficult it is, and amongst the 5 of you, there's probably 50-plus years of governance at the table. Sorry. I get told I talk way too fast. I will really try to slow it down. That being said, with the gratitudes out of the way, before you this evening is the financial report, beginning with month ending December 31st, 2022. So your last report of calendar year 2022. I will bring you the highlights, of course. Again, I believe my job is to paint the picture that the numbers are showing you and bring those to you every month on a consistent basis. Enrollment is the lifeblood of our revenue and how we operate. So enrollment, again, continues to be in line with projections. There is a financial anomaly. I like to point them out to you in each month, or the highlight. What you will see in the December numbers is a retroactive pay for the contracts that were just settled and voted on by all of you earlier in the month of December or late November, depending upon the action. So what you would see, and I will show you on the slides, you will see an increase in the payroll expense, a one-time increase of about $4.3 million. That's to pay the retroactive settlements began either September 1st of the year or in July 1st, depending upon the bargaining unit. Again, graphically, you will see the enrollment projection, which is a pretty flat graph. The projection's flat throughout, and then you will note the slightly below projection in December, but very, very close when it comes to demographics and school budgetary enrollment. That is a very excellent place to be in. What I wanted to point you to is the revenue comparison. If you see in December, so the first 4 months of the year for a school district are based on your budget. And then in January, OSPI does what we call a true-up. So they will take our actual enrollment after 4 counts, and then you will see in January the apportionment becomes what it actually is. So I would anticipate in January you will see the enrollment line, the blue line, that blue bar, go right up towards where it needs to be for projection and slightly above, given the timing of our payments from the state of Washington and how we've been drawing down our federal grants. I want to speak about this again this month, and this is our cash flow. You'll see the green line is our projection, and you'll be like, Mr. Cooper, should we not have something to worry about given that the blue line is below the green line? And in this case, I would say no, because that is simply the timing of some very large payments. So we talked about the retroactivity for the payroll of about $4.3 million. Additionally, we had payments for the Davis Auditorium go out as well. And then we've also been, we are in kind of in transit. So our deposits kind of passed in the night. We should see a large deposit, would be the very 1st of January instead of the end of December, where we drew down a significant amount of ESSER funds, about to the tune of $4 or $5 million. So what you should see, a long way of saying, in January, you should see your cash uptick back towards the green line, which is where the projection is from. in part because we would have drawn down our ESSER funds, and then our apportionment statement, our apportionment will come to actual, so you should see an increase of cash. And then I would imagine, and I will not imagine, over spring, what we will see is we will see the blue line get very close to the green line, and then we'll move forward after that. But I would anticipate overall cash flows will align with projection by the end of the fiscal year. Are there any questions on cash flow? I know there's quite a bit there, but whenever I see actual below projected that far, do believe it warrants some explanation. So just so you sleep better tonight, that's a timing of your revenue. It's not that we are in a economic free fall. Again, noting of a highlight here is the payroll trend. If you see across the blue bars, you can see that the payroll has been very flat, as you would expect from an organization that pays fairly regular salaries to its employees on a monthly basis. Once payroll starts for the year, it's at a pretty level basis, but you can see the large uptick in December for that retroactive payment. And then what will happen is that will then moderate over time and decrease as we've had to pay the one lump sum to all the employee groups that had settled at that time. ESSER 3, just a reminder for the group, the ESSER 1 and 2 are fully expended. Thus far, as you can see, the district has expended just over 12 million in ESSER 3 with another 2.6 encumbered, leaving us $26.6 million for ESSER 3. The learning loss component, which if we recall, ESSER 3 is divided into two components, legally divided into two components. One is that 80% of the ESSER 3 is treated very liberally like ESSER 1 and 2, which means the district can supplant, use funds for almost any allowable purpose under federal law and draw down those funds. ESSER 3, the 20%, however, must be focused on learning loss and is set aside. And Dr. Rodriguez and other educational leaders around the table have been tasked with how those monies are going to be spent over the next 12 to 18-month period. So are there any questions on ESSER 3? Okay. I know that each time I go through this presentation a little bit differently. That is because each time the numbers are telling me a little bit different story. So I'm trying to tailor the highlights to you and what I describe as a board, what keeps me up at night moments. So that's what you'll see out of every presentation, a base presentation, but really I've been working on staff to try to tease out the highlights for the month or lowlights because they can be both. Not every month is a perfect financial month, but to that end, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them this time.
As we get farther removed from COVID and kind of get back into normal functioning, do we anticipate a rise in enrollment in the near or far future?
I don't know. I have not seen anything in our current projections that would lead me to believe that. I think one bellwether, Director Walker, will be what kindergarten registration looks like. That's always the first kind of canary in the coal mine when it comes to a new incoming class. There is scattered development around the city as well, and I have reached out to the city of Yakima, and we're going to talk about the timing and potentially what those housing and development starts might create for enrollment. But I don't believe, the good thing is Yakima did not see precipitous declines in enrollment like around the state. I think we're still close to, last I checked, 45,000 off from our peak enrollment levels. So I would anticipate fairly flat enrollment here going forward unless there's a change in land use policies or some other macroeconomic driver that brings students back.
Thank you.
I would just add that we're also looking for ways that we can capture other students that are out there with respect to Dr. Rodriguez's work with our homeschool co-op that will launch this next year. We have the K-8 online, which is at the Innovation Center, and continue to try to locate and matriculate also students from other districts to help capture the FTEs to make up the difference of students that are currently not a part of the district. So we're actively seeking ways to increase funding or enrollment for funding as well.
Jake, we have a 4,500 student deficit, right? From where we are now to where we were at our high point.
No, probably have 450 student debt.
450, okay,
Yeah, not 4,500.
okay.
Did I say 4,500? No, that's a lot.
You just, I think you
No,
added
what
a
I
couple
was saying
of
was
zeros there.
there was a loss of FTE at the state level of 45,000.
It's not good when your numbers guy has some problems with numbers.
I won't misplace the comma when it counts, Superintendent. But yeah, to correct the record, the state is off at its peak about 45,000 students. And you will see that depending upon how the numbers are disclosed, between 40 and 45,000. I believe we were off, if I looked at the trend, probably 500 students or so over the last few year period. We did not see a huge decline like certain districts in King County did when we were down 1,800 to 2,000 students. So in that regard, enrollment, even though not growing, at least it is stable and it's not in free fall. I'm actually more concerned, obviously, what our friends in Olympia do for us or to us in the next legislative session. And there'll be more to come on that conversation as well. But we are keenly watching that, as you know, that is the biggest driver of our financial stability is what happens in Olympia. So, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Jay? Okay, thank you so much. And now we reach the point in the agenda for comments. Do we have a comment on the agenda? Okay, moving on. Up next is the consent agenda. We have December minutes, notification of warrants, approval of personnel actions, and budget status reports. I believe you guys used to break that down in warrants, but I don't see. Budget status reports. No, you used to mention like some of the categories.
Yeah, if you click on that.
On the budget status reports? No, go back.
To the agenda. D3, notification of approval of warrants, I think that probably has that.
No, I looked at that.
Is this what you're talking about?
Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's the ASB fund, general fund, two general fund categories, capital projects, another general fund category, and payroll. So do I hear from the board of any item on the consent agenda that you would like to have removed and addressed? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Would you like to call the roll, Barb?
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Next up, we have Ms. Locke, approval to renew contract for Google Workspace. Did you need to introduce, or we'll just hand it over to Stacy?
It's not here. Thank you. Thank you, President Walker. I have before you tonight an action item that is an annual renewal, which is for Google services for 3 years. It's their Productivity Suite Collaboration and Learning Enhancement Services for our staff and students. The fiscal impact is approximately $76,621.98 per year. Any questions?
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the contract with Google Workspace?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to renew the contract with Google Workspace. Are there any questions or comments? Barb, would you call the roll, please?
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additionally, Director Walker, President Walker, I have another action item, again, to an annual renewal to replace the life cycle of student laptops, and it's recognized in an interlocal agreement contract from Dell. The fiscal impact, there's an E-rate grant award of $804,936.99. And the other part comes from the technology budget for $337,574.47 for a total fiscal impact of $1,142,511.46 payable to Dell. Any questions?
The other question I have would be, in that cycle, how much loss do we incur on student laptops for damage and loss or theft, or is that an issue, or are students pretty good about that?
I wish Andy, he's here.
I would invite Executive Director of Technology, Andy Gonzalez, to speak to that. I can say that since we have distributed the one-on-ones at the pandemic, right at the pandemic level, the data on that has obviously changed over the last 3 years, so, Andy?
And before he responds, Andy, thank you for being here. I did want to acknowledge, as I looked at the fiscal impact, I would like to call attention to the board, the E-rate grant award of $804,000, almost $805,000. I think that speaks just greatly of the work that Andy does. It's, I mentioned earlier, I talked about our assistant superintendents and other individuals. Andy is really second to none in the work that he does, so thank you for that. And yes, could you answer Director Walker's question?
So the number's probably going to be a little shocking, but you have to remember that we really didn't have a replacement cycle in laptops prior to this administration. So we were putting out laptops that were end of life, a term none of us really like. And so we are really replacing computers that should have been replaced a long time ago. We're about 27%. When we estimate that we'll level out at about 17%, which is pretty standard for our surrounding districts of like demographics and replacement break fix. We do you reuse every bit of the computer that we can to put more computers out. So when they do get broken, we do know that that's going to happen, and we have trained up teams to be able to regenerate, reuse, recycle every bit of the computer that we can in-house so that we're efficiently placing them out as soon as possible.
Andy, could you share with us what the replacement cycle is on a laptop?
So we get about, if in the utopic world, we'd be replacing them every 4 years, but we don't all replace our cars on recommended replace life cycles. We get about 6 years out of a laptop, and we buy in at a level that I think gives us that extra 2 years if we were buying $198 laptops and things like that. One, we'd have curriculum access trials and tribulations, but also they wouldn't last as long as we're getting out of them. That being said, that's a machine that isn't, suffering from any major damage in any areas.
Thank you, Andy. Any other questions for Andy? Okay. Do I hear a motion? Oh, I think we had the motion, didn't we? On the computers? Oh, okay. Do I hear a motion to approve purchase of student laptops?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the purchase of student laptops. Any other question or discussion? Okay, call roll, please.
Director Navarro Jr.,
Aye.
Director Rice,
Aye.
Vice President Villanueva,
Aye.
President Walker.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
President Walker, if I may, I would like to publicly thank the school board, since I am speaking at this point, but definitely publicly thank all of you for all the work you do. And in the 23 years I've been in the Yakima School District, the school board has been very involved with the work, and I so appreciate that, and has elevated us to new heights and new levels. So thank you.
Thank you. We've now arrived at our second opportunity for comments from the public on any item. Do we have any takers?
There are none.
Okay, we have no takers. I understand there's no need for executive session tonight? Okay. I believe you have your reports at the end. Any other comments, questions? Thank you all for being here. It was nice to have the recognition. It was nice to have a crowd, kind of a change of flavor for our meetings. And I too would like to thank all my colleagues for your hard work and dedication to the district. I think we don't always agree on everything, but we do share a really strong commitment to public education and to the Yakima schools. So I'm deeply grateful for all you do. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.